assault is an issue that impacts many Oklahomans throughout the state. Before beginning, it is important to cover a brief definition of what sexual assault is. Sexual assault, by definition, can vary depending on the location and state. But in general, sexual assault includes any action sexual in nature that is unwarranted or non consensual by at least one party. This can include actions such as rape, attempted rape, fondling, sexually touching, or forcing sexual acts. Covered a brief definition of sexual assault, it is important to consider who is affected by sexual assault. Sexual assault can impact all races, genders, and sexual orientations throughout Oklahoma. However, there are certain groups that are impacted at much higher levels than others. And for the case of this specific study, we will look at how sexual assault impacts women. And for the purposes of this PSA, we will classify anyone identifying as female as being a woman. Looking at how sexual assault impacts women specifically throughout Oklahoma, it is important to consider the numbers of reported sexual assaults throughout the state over the past few years. Throughout the year 2016, 2,134 sexual assaults were reported throughout the state. In 2017, 2,246 sexual assaults were reported throughout the state. And in 2018, 2,465 cases of sexual assault were reported throughout the state. As we can see, there has been an increase in sexual assaults that have been reported over the past few years. So, what does this look like for women living in the state of Oklahoma? A survey conducted in 2017 found that about 1 in 3 women experience contact with sexual violence, as compared to 1 in 10 men during the same period of time. Additionally, the amount of women who report that they have been sexually assaulted is very low. About 63% on average of those who are sexually assaulted do not report this to the authorities. About 18% do, and about 19% do by way of a friend or colleague. There are many issues as to why women in the state of Oklahoma do not come forward to report a sexual assault. The first and major issue is the slow testing provided by the state of Oklahoma for sexual assault kits. There is a massive backlog that can be years in the making, and justice can often not be served. When a test is completed, there is a significant number on the lack of convictions that occur. As those who go to trial, only about 2% of sexual assault cases are ever actually convicted. In addition, there is a lack of comprehensive sexual education throughout the state of Oklahoma in the school systems. This often does not include any information on preventing sexual assault. So, what can be done to help reduce the amount of sexual assaults that occur in the future? Many of these can start with policy changes and recommendations. First, there needs to be legislation that ensures the speedy and secure testing of sexual assault kits statewide. A backlog should not be the reason a woman does not receive justice in her case. State-funded and culturally sensitive trauma groups need to be provided at no cost for those who have been victims of sexual assault. In addition, there needs to be groups for past offenders to understand the ramifications of their actions. Lastly, comprehensive sexual education that includes information on consent and sexual assault needs to be required for all Oklahoma students throughout the state. Into account these specific recommendations, we can all work together to reduce the amount of sexual assaults that women experience in Oklahoma.